Hi, Lauren. I didn't have an affair per se, in that I never had two sexual relationships going at once. But I left my marriage because a colleague and I fell in love. That was 10 years ago. I tried to stay on good terms with my ex husband. We lived separately, but raised our children together on a daily basis. Things didn't work out with my colleague, and while we've remained close, we never formed a life together, even though we gave it several tries. My ex husband is still a daily presence in my life and thinks and speaks of me as a cheating partner, as though I am still cheating on him even to this day. I think somehow I have taken this to heart and came to think of myself this way too. I felt a lot of shame about being an affair partner, although I was never in an intimate relationship with two people at once. I hide my feelings and personal life from everyone because of the shame of thinking of myself this way. I very much doubt that I will ever have another partner because of this. My question for you is, do people who are in affairs as affair partners or cheating spouses ever get to put their past behind them and move on, the way betrayed spouses do? I really do not know how to get out of the shame spiral. Thank you. Sincerely, Anna. I just want to say it sounds like your betrayed spouse has not put his past behind him and moved
Just
on. Honestly, the affair is still the identity of the marriage, and his identity as a betrayed spouse is still his identity, which is what's making you feel. Well, no one can make you feel anything, but what you're writing in about, which is what's causing you to feel like you can't get over the shame of being an unfaithful partner and an affair partner. This letter is just shrouded in shame. And Anna, it breaks my heart that you feel like you can't be in another relationship because of the shame of this part of your past. So let's dive into just, how can we help you forward from this space? Because you deserve love, you deserve to create the life that you want to live, and you deserve to see what you've done here as a part of you and a part of your life history, but it doesn't need to be your life sentence.
I always think of that we are more than our individual choices. Like we all make mistakes. We're all human. You made mistakes. I made mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. We're just human. And I always also think about when it comes to things that are, really shrouded in shame, like how would you talk to a friend? Like if she were answering this letter, if she were on our side or a friend and answering this letter, it would be, of course you can find love. You made a mistake and you hurt someone and you're not going to do that again because you see, how hurtful that was into yourself as well. You remember that feeling. You watched somebody else go through pain that was a result of a choice that you made. And so therefore, you'll never do that again. You made choices in a time and a context of who you were at a certain time, what you thought with the information that you had at that time. And at that time, it sounds like she said they fell in love and she thought that they were going to be something. And it didn't work out. But at that time, that's the only information that she had. And so I just always think of, speaking more kindly and gently to ourselves, like we would want a good friend to talk to us.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just described self compassion, which is the antidote to shame. It's the scientifically proven antidote to shame, which is how would you talk to a friend? And how would you remind yourself you're not the only one in the world who's ever done something like this or had a relationship that didn't make it or fallen in love with somebody and it didn't work out, or told a lie? Obviously, you're not proud, you're not celebrating, how your marriage ended, but you fell in love with a colleague. That was 10 years ago. Why is it still so fresh? And it makes me wonder, do you and your ex-husband, is it time for a healing conversation?
I was going to feel like, are you like, you'll want cut off contact with your ex, but like it keeps coming up because of this contact,
Yeah.
the type of contact they're having. So do we need to like go to a couples session?
Or just have a good old fashioned cup of tea and talk about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Not his job to fix your feelings for you, but he's not moving forward either if his only identity is as a betrayed spouse and you as a cheating spouse. That's not healthy for anybody. My identity, the story that I identify with most strongly is that I was betrayed. If that was the only narrative I had, I would be a very small person in a very small lens world. It's a part of my story that changed my life trajectory. But when it becomes the focal part of someone's identity, what's going on there? Like, why do you need to be victimized so deeply? So it sounds to me like her ex-husband, he is not thriving in this space, but he's deeply wounded still. He does not want to move forward and move on. And obviously, there are things that need to be addressed and discussed about, a- apology, acknowledging the pain and the hurt, um, perhaps having a conversation where you do unpack that your marriage didn't have the kind of love that maybe it should have had to stand the test of time. Sometimes when it comes down to it, both partners, the betrayed and the unfaithful, can acknowledge, like, yeah, am I glad you did what you did? Absolutely not. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And like, no, we probably weren't really meant to be together and love each other in the way that two people should have. Or, I wasn't so satisfied with this part of our relationship and I'm not sure we really could have worked that out. Or, what kind of inventory have you done about why things didn't work out with you and your husband? Because it sounds like he just feels like the victim and you just feel like the perpetrator. And now you're so ashamed, it has consumed you whole. And the way people respond to shame is to get small and to withdraw and stay in the dark. And you're literally describing exactly that, which is, I want to take myself out of the game. I want to take myself off, the planet in terms of human interaction. And I'm so ashamed of myself. Shame is not, I did something bad. Shame is, I am bad. Right. So you feel like you are so bad that you are unworthy of love and belonging. And I'm here to tell you, and Michelle's here to tell you, that is so the opposite of the truth. I can tell that you're someone who cares deeply about what happened. You just don't know how to move forward from it.
She said so much positive in terms of this co-parenting relationship that her and her husband were able to, manage together despite obviously his deep wound and hurt. That's not an everyday occurrence, where people are able to co-parent and raise kids still together as best as can post divorce, just full stop, let alone a divorce that, resulted from infidelity. And so I really think like even just that characteristic for her, that she was able to push past and co-parent with him. That's so wonderful. Not everybody can do that. And so just looking at those strengths that she has and in terms of uh, interacting relationally, like her interpersonal, and especially when it was child focused and really, making sure we're raising these kids and, we're still going to do our duty here in raising these kids and having a decent relationship in their presence. And so anyway, focusing on that positive because really like that's a wonderful and it's really not easy for everybody to do.
100%. 100%. I would recommend that Anna get her hands on the book, How Can I Forgive You by Janice Abrams Spines. It's on forgiveness versus acceptance when it comes largely to intimate betrayal in a relationship, but obviously, like any infraction, any interpersonal infraction. And it's a really great inventory for anybody who's going through this of, how does one move forward and find healing and find, if you can't find forgiveness, which is okay. Forgiveness is not for everybody. And honestly, sometimes it's not helpful.
Yeah.
How can you find acceptance? How can we accept what happened? Because when you accept what happened, you begin to take steps towards accepting yourself. And once you can accept yourself as imperfect and flawed, now we can work with something. Now we have something to move forward with that doesn't keep us stuck. We have to be able to accept the more complicated, unsavory parts of ourselves that have done things that we are not proud of. And also know that it's not the whole of us, it's a part of us. And if we've made an effort to be a healing force in our ex spouse's life and show up, then, you have done a large part. But I do wonder if that book could be a helpful foundation for a healing conversation with you and your ex husband. And honestly, it could be more emotional than you think. So she would recommend it.
Recommend it so often that it's literally right beside.
I love it.
Yeah. And like all the paper. I just recommended it last week to 2 clients and they are like, "I love it. It's so helpful." So that's how often, because I'm like pulling it up in
So
session.
great.
So I thought I'd whip it out here too. It's wonderful on both sides. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so great. Love that, Michelle.
Mhm.
So Anna, I hope that this helped and Michelle and I are rooting for you. This is doesn't have to define you. And you know what? Doesn't have to define your ex-husband either. You
Mm,
guys deserve more. Yes. Take
mhm.
care.